Another week, another dominant win for the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's right.
Another excuse for a fan base to be pissed off for no reason whatsoever. All of that and more today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. He is Daniel. I am Clint. Today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. More on them in a moment. Daniel, it was dominant.
Yep.
Kirby most wins in his first 100 games as head coach in SEC history. 21 straight
21 in a row.
Winning streak for the Georgia Bulldogs. It was dominant all the way across, but you are correct. We're going to have so many people up in the comments, on the Twitter, on the subtext, absolutely lambasting Georgia as inept, incapable, talentless, unmotivated hacks, which I'm going to get out in front of this. This is overreaction time.
This is what the show is called. Read the title.
Read the look, the title is overreaction. The sidebar may be talking about what we're excited and don't worry on things.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, but we'll get that fixed.
It's overreaction central.
Here she comes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Many of us thought we were going to need buckets to begin, buckets to vomit into because it was so disgusting. But Daniel, this was a dominant win all the way across. I have a number of good takes, a number of questionable takes. My takes aren't questionable.
All your takes are questionable.
Questions. I knew you. I have questions about some folk. We're going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
But I'll give you the choice. Where does the chairperson from Tennessee want to start?
I want to start with the positives. We typically try to always do that. I want to start with the positives. But before you brought up the fan base, the overreactions or whatever, before we get into any of it, and normally I wouldn't want to start here, but it's what everybody just saw at the end of the game. Some people probably watching this on Sunday morning. Some people probably watching this on Monday.
Yeah,
whatever.
Late. We are right after the game.
Yeah, but a lot of y'all are going to be watching this on Saturday night, and so let me just be totally clear. That's the kid that y'all all have been moaning should be the starting quarterback at Georgia. That kid that I just saw, that's the kid that you want to replace 22 of 32 Carson Beck with 333 yards. Carson Beck, that kid that just rolled out and threw it straight to a UAB defender. Like, that's the kid that you all really wanted, Kirby Smart, to make the starting quarterback at Georgia. And you're trying to tell me that I'm not ready for that conversation? No, I'm not ready for Georgia to play people that are the third string quarterback, the third best quarterback on the team,
yes,
as the starter, because you feel better about it. Carson Beck is really good. He made a couple of really bad throws.
I counted two throws that I would classify as catastrophically bad. He
airmailed that first deep ball. Do not speak to me about that second deep ball unless it's to tell me that Arian Smith is not a real pass catcher. It hit him right in the hands. Carson Beck dropped it in the bucket.
As of tonight's recording, Arian Smith is a track star who puts on pads to run.
I need to see better hands. We'll get to that in the third segment, maybe. But he threw it behind a couple receivers. I had three really bad throws tonight. But he's 22 of 32 for 337 yards, averaging 10.5 yards.
Double digits. So every time he completes a pass, it's a first down. Oh, that's interesting.
And also, he's completing 2/3 of his passes.
2/3 of his passes for first downs. And if Arian catches that and takes it.
Yeah, we're north of 4 bills tonight for Carson Beck. Well, a 41-yard completion, a 50-yard completion, a 33-yard completion. Y'all wanted the explosive plays.
Doesn't take explosive play calls.
Y'all wanted us to throw the ball down the field. And Carson Beck stood back there, especially in that second and third quarter. He stood back there and he really spun it down the field. I thought the O-line protected really well in the pass pro tonight, Clint. And Carson Beck is the best quarterback on this team. Is he as good as Stetson Bennett was last year? No, he's not. But neither is Brock Vandagriff or Gunnar Stockton, who are, in that order, the next two best quarterbacks on this team.
You're confusing gaining yards for being a good quarterback because you look at and you say, well, they have the running ability. They can run the ball. Ask Alabama how that's going. It's not great.
It's not great. Or if you don't want to ask Alabama how it's going, ask Ole Miss, who thought they could go into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama with a glorified wide receiver playing quarterback. I'm sorry, y'all, but somebody once told somebody else that Jackson Dart was a good quarterback. That's an atrocity.
I'm going to tell you this right now. This college football season is drunk.
It's everything that we wanted it to be, and more.
It's everything we wanted. So here's where I'm going to go. Here are the positives.
All right, that's where I wanted to start. Carson Beck is a positive to me. You don't disagree? That's a major positive for this team.
Carson Beck ascended in the SEC quarterback rankings tonight.
Yeah,
he got better. You tell me. You look at the tape. We watch the tape. We go back and look at the games. Every single game, Carson Beck has gotten better. He's had more zip. He's taken the intermediate. His average completion, the yards per completion, has increased. His yardage per game has increased. His confidence has increased. His poise in the pocket. Literally every single mark up, up, up. Even not putting balls in harm's way. There were a number of occasions that he, I think, if I'm reading into it, I say only two catastrophically bad. I think he was fearing that defenders were going to come down on a couple of receivers, and he didn't want to lead them too much to either jeopardize the receiver or a pick and threw it behind the receiver. I think he was doing that a couple of times, if I'm giving him beneficial readings, on purpose because of the defense. But he is ascending, Daniel. So absolutely. 100%. Second place I want to go is this. Again, we ask this every week, and no one's answered us.
Nope. Please jump in the comments. Answer the man.
Answer my question. Who in college football right now has shown themselves to be the bona fide, never challenge us, never struggle, never have a bad down, a bad series? Our defense is playing lights out. Our offense is playing lights out. All phases of the game. Guys, that was maybe the last 2 years with Georgia and a number of other teams, Ohio State on offense and Alabama.
Sure. You could have made that point in 2021 about Alabama, 2020 about Alabama, probably. Yeah.
And you could, I don't know why. NIL, transfer portal, I have no clue. Or just cyclical nature of this is how hard football is. Football is a game of inches. I know that's a cliche, but it is true because without two fumbles, UAB is not getting on the board in the first half. And the game is probably 10 points UAB because of turnovers. And without a couple of drops, Georgia is up by 42 going into half. So please, football is so the margin of error is so close, and it's getting closer. Our margin of error at Georgia used to be we can have a couple of bonehead plays and be like, we're fine. We're going to get bailed out because we have an NFL talent defense and an NFL talent offense. Margin of error is a little different. Inexperience, new guys, all that stuff. Please, for the love, Georgia's the best team in the country. And it's actually not close because Michigan got real sleepy. The margin is actually growing between Georgia and everybody else, and I'm more convinced of that this week than I was previous weeks.
I mean, it's an interesting conversation. I'm gonna put an "and" on the end of that sentence in the second segment. Georgia is the best team in the country, and something else is true. And so more on that right after these.
And these are, in fact, LinkedIn jobs. We don't need another quarterback because we have our starting quarterback.
We have the right person for the job.
No matter how many times you go on X, Twitter, and say all ludicrous manner of things, you
Say whatever you
don't
want. It's free
get
country.
to choose. It's a free
Wonderful.
country. But at LinkedIn Jobs, you get that little frame around your profile, letting you people know that it is open. We don't have an open competition, but maybe you do on your team, your business. You need somebody to come in. You need the right tools, the right people for the right hire. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes into place. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. Post your job for free. Millions and millions and millions of network people all around the world to get the right candidate for your position, your job, your team. Get over there right now. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. Don't mess with anything else but the proper way to hire people, and that's LinkedIn. Don't do it yourself. Get on the same page as them. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. Get over there right now. Post your job for free.
Clint's gone. Let me just start the second segment by saying this. Georgia is the best team in the country. And Georgia's not as good as we were last year or the year before. This Georgia team, it's okay to feel this way because it's true. This Georgia team is not as good as last year's Georgia team or the year before's Georgia team. Maybe we will get better and become as good as them, but I doubt it. I do not think that at the end of the year we will say that this Georgia team is nearly as good as last year's Georgia team or the year before. But that doesn't mean that we're not the best team in college football.
That's right.
We are still the best team in college football. And this team is a little disappointing to Georgia fans because the standard in our mind was last year's team. And so I almost want to, we come across as strong as like, you're not allowed to be upset at this team because we're very good. You're not allowed to say things like Gunnar Stockton should be the starting quarterback. If you say dumb stuff like that, then we're going to make fun of you on this podcast. But if you say things like this team has just kind of disappointed me a little bit this season, that's not really fair to the team because what are they supposed to do? Not go out and blow 4 teams out, really 3 teams out, and have a solid SEC win against South Carolina. But it is a fair statement in terms of like, this team's not as good. And so what you expected was last year's team, even though the greatest college quarterback of all time no longer plays for Georgia anymore. And so if you expected last year's team, this team is it's a bit of a letdown because we're not that team. But we're still the best team in college football this year. Yeah. But we're not just going to close our eyes and sleepwalk to the national championship. Georgia's got some work to do, but it's a good position to be in.
It's a great position. Let's talk about how good we are a couple more times. I'm just going to quick rapid fire observations from
some things you saw that you liked.
Chaz Chambliss is locking down the edge. Daniel,
Man's playing great.
He's playing great. Is he having the incredible stats to go with it? No, nobody on Georgia will ever do that because of what we do rotationally wise and how we play team defense. It's not just line up, pin your ears back and go. Kirby wants a comprehensive defense, but Chaz is doing his assignment and he's actually learning a little. I think Jalen's talking to him a little bit and telling him how to dip down because I saw some bend out of Chaz to get some pressure and havoc plays. He's playing very well right now. I'm super impressed. Micah Morris.
Okay, Micah Morris, come on in.
Looked fine.
He got blown up on one play, got really pushed back, but in general, I thought Micah Morris looked really good.
He was solid, and he was growing into it as the game went on. I was very happy with that.
I was just going to say this, Clint. I like the way that the offensive line played tonight, like the whole offensive line across the board. I thought Truss had one bad play at right tackle, but just one. I thought generally the run blocking was a lot better. The run stats weren't there. Good Lord. By the way, I'm sorry. Can we just stop the podcast? How bad was this crew? Like, if I have to listen to Rod Gilmore try to tell me about my team's identity anymore, like, what is wrong with this crew? They were so bad.
ESPN, 4 letters.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
The
run stats weren't there, but I thought the run blocking generally was much better in this game. I thought Dylan Fairchild played well. I thought Micah Morris played well. Those two guys rotating in at guard. And I thought Ernest Green probably had his best game as a Bulldog this week.
I think all of those things were true. This was get right for the offensive line. We've seen pieces come into play. Carson Beck and offensive line, this time we're there. Running game was last week. Okay. And if you're not understanding that we have 2 running backs currently, and one of them plays wide receiver.
One of his name's Cash Jones, and he is a slot wide receiver.
It is incredible. Dejon was great last week. This week, the numbers weren't there. But again,
Dejon Edwards is fantastic. He's fantastic.
I'm gonna ask you this. Top 2 running back in the SEC?
He's really good. I don't know if he's the top 2. Like, the best running back in the SEC was supposed to be Quinshon Judkins, and he's been terrible this year.
He's awful.
I don't know if it's Ole Miss's O-line just can't block for him, but not just against Alabama. I'm talking about like against Tulane. He was invisible like the whole season. I think I'm happy Dejon Edwards is on my team. I'll say that. I don't know where he ranks in the SEC.
He's not the most explosive guy. But again,
no, he's not.
Do you need 8 yards on first down to set up your entire offense?
Yes, I do.
Great. I got the guy.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
Okay, so he played really well.
He did.
The offensive line played really well. Mike Bobo, I need all of you. Handwritten apology notes is what
treading on thin ice here, Clint. We're already talking to the people who want Gunnar Stockton. Now you're coming up from
Mike Bobo was in his bag.
Things about Mike Bobo
taking shots. He coached up Carson Beck. The shots were there, and this is evident that Carson Beck does know the system and does read and doesn't just try to force feed somebody and put the ball, because he was those intermediate throws, that 12 to 17-yard window for Carson Beck. He can light those throws.
Oh, he can absolutely laser the ball in there.
Ooh. I was really impressed with Mike Bobo, how he was playing.
What else you got on your list over there?
I'm going to give you 2 more. And the first one I'm going to give you is just a stat to, again, say Mike Bobo haters, handwritten apologies. I will deliver them to the man. And then the second one, I'm going to let you talk because they showed out. 6 for 6 in the red zone, Daniel.
6 for 6 scores in the red zone? Clint, was that scores?
No. Field goals not need apply. Touchdown.
Kirby Smart, you beautiful man. You read my mind. Technically speaking, even though Woodring did kick all the extra points,
he did.
Technically speaking, Zirkle could still be the field goal kicker. We don't know because the field goal was not attempted in this game. So I'm holding out hope that Zirkle actually has won the field goal job.
Good for you. And then I'm just gonna say 2 names and let you talk. Logue and Warren Brinson.
Warren Brinson has played himself right into that first round of the NFL draft. He's an animal in there, Clint.
They're bulls. And those 2 were bulls on the inside.
Zion Logue was may have played his most impressive game in terms of getting into the backfield, blowing up offensive linemen, just abusing guards and centers all night. And Warren Brinson is a wrecking ball. He's the best defensive lineman on this team. He is the best interior pass rusher on this team. He is maybe the second best pass rusher on this team. Period.
Yes.
Behind a guy who had the flu tonight. And he's a run stopper. He's a big body, and he's a mismatch waiting to happen. We did not think that we had this guy on our team this year. But I've been saying it all offseason, and I'm going to continue to toot my own horn. Warren Brinson's having himself the year that you and I expected him to have, that you and I were on him to have preseason, and it's absolutely fantastic to see. I love those 3 veteran interior defensive linemen, Stackhouse, Logue, and Brinson. I think they are absolutely they solidify what can at times be a bit of an up and down defensive front 7.
Man, they play with such tenacity every now and then that you're like, oh, wow, this is the defense that's made me say this could be the most dominant defense Kirby's ever had, because they come out and they just say, no, I'm not giving you another inch.
Yep.
And other times they seem really uninterested in tackling.
Now we're going to get to things that we that we did not care for. Speaking of people who are uninterested in tackling in the third segment, but don't But this is the segment where we talk about positive things that we saw, Clint.
Be happy.
And we've yet to mention the name of the best football player in the United States of America.
Because, Daniel, everything else was gained. Like, we gained everything this week that we were lacking in previous weeks, and it just happened to coincide with Brock Bowers still being the man who snatches souls, takes names, and does so and makes you feel happy about it as he does.
What he did to those people on the sideline, both the left side, and then he came back onto the right side, scored the touchdown, and two guys. I've seen a lot of things, Clint, but I've never seen a guy like Brock Bowers. You get him the ball, and when he's tackled, whether it's at the line of scrimmage, one time tonight, guy made an incredible play on him.
It took all 195 pounds and full sprint for 15 yards.
Or whether it's 30 yards down the field. Every time he's tackled, I think to myself, I honestly can't believe they got him. I can't believe they tackled him. That, like, every time he touches it, I think he's going to score a touchdown.
I'm going to give you a player comp in the NFL currently.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you to tell me I'm insane because it's this characteristic you just said.
Mm-hmm. Barry Sanders? He's not still in the NFL.
Deebo Samuel, the 49ers, doesn't get tackled. I don't know how he makes it out of things. Again, you're like, oh, that's a 3-yard loss. Oh, no, wait, 50-yard touchdown. Brock Bowers has that legit same ability where on any given play, it's going to go. It was a simple Y flat. It's just a simple motion.
There's nothing complicated.
And it's easiest pitch and catch in the world. There's 5-6 yards of separation between him and the motion backer that comes with him or the DB that comes down the box. And Brock is going to win that 9 times out of 10, which we saw exactly almost today.
I genuinely believe that if we wanted to in this game, we could have thrown it to Brock Bowers 50 times, and this team would have scored 10 touchdowns. I genuinely believe that. The only reason we didn't is to avoid injury and to get other people work, because that's not the offense we're trying to run.
Correct. But yeah, and we're not
we're not trying to troll take people. Him away. You can't.
We're not trying to troll people.
Everyone in every booth in America says, well, I would think that they would want to try to take Brock Bowers away so that you got to make somebody else beat you. But you can't take him away. That's the thing about people who are bigger and stronger and faster and more talented and smarter than everyone on your team. You're not able to take them away.
We're not being homers, although we are homers for Georgia football.
Unapologetic.
He's the best football player in America. You can come out with anybody else you want. I don't care. Give me him.
He doesn't need any validation. Like, he just watch.
And people know it. And then they come comment on the game or sideline report and they're like, no, this is like really different. I know y'all told me it was different, but this is different than the different you told me, which is complex.
He's got these other levels. He has these games where it just is. And this was one of those games. Fun to watch. Brock Bowers.
Yes.
You're the absolute best. We'll be right back with the 199 right after this.
FanDuel, FanDuel.com/lockdown, where you need to go for all of your sports book needs. Right now, you get over there, you do a $5 bet. They're giving you $100 in bonus bets coming right back to you.
Free money.
It's free money on which you do more betting. FanDuel.com.
More money.
More betting, more money. Take the wins that you had this weekend, parlay that into the NFL or baseball. Ronald Acuna, if you can get MVP odds, which I don't know if you still can.
Why would they give you MVP odds right now, Clint? He's already won the award.
When he's done something that literally 5 people that baseball has done for the entirety of its history, almost as long as America's been in conception.
There ever been a team? I know this is not a foregone conclusion yet because there's games left to play. But has there ever been a team where the home run leader of the league is on a team and a different guy wins the MVP on that
the
team.
Second best player on the team.
That's a weird scenario that's happening right now.
Go check FanDuel.com/lockedon for bonus bets once you make a deposit and get over there right now. New users, terms and conditions apply. Make every moment more. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Okay. Let's welcome the 199,
shall we?
First of all, we're glad. Go to the subtext. It's in the description. We love interacting with y'all. It's a ton of fun. Go over to bonfire.com/store/the199. Get some merch.
We got to get new shirts up on the merch. We've got so many shirts in the hopper. We've got so many designs and things.
There's a yacht, and I can't confirm nor deny what's on that yacht. Things like that.
There's just a lot. There's a lot of
okay. I have some grievances that I would like.
This is the part where we air the grievances, I suppose.
I don't have a steel pole.
There's no aluminum pole.
Nope, there's no aluminum pole.
But this is it. I mean, it's an overreaction show, but I don't think any of the things we're about to say are overreactions.
I'm going to be okay. I will be overreacting because that's the show. But also, I'm willing to stand by these claims for the long run.
Come at him on Monday. He'll back it up.
I don't want to see JDJ play middle linebacker for Georgia ever again.
I don't think he's I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
He was supposed to be the leader of this defense.
He was.
Sorry.
Last year.
Thank you.
The leader of a better defense than this defense. And he was one of the best players on it. Not in some people's opinion, in actual reality fact.
Grading, in writers, in reporters, in how they game planned. Now,
are we going to learn about some kind of an ankle injury? He's just slow, Clint. He's just not fast.
If you didn't see what happened on the touchdown, they planned for him. They attacked him. He was the focal point, and he couldn't get out on that play action that was coming in the RPO and then dump it off out there. He was late on the action.
First of all, he leaned inside. He was out of position.
He got sucked up.
And then he was way too slow.
Couldn't catch
JDJ it's just baffling. We're not trying to just slam on the guy, but it's just baffling.
I'm not hating on him because I want to, because again, I said
where he went,
he was going to be All-American status, continuing on the legacy of inside linebackers at UGA. He's nowhere near that.
I'm going to take your statement and I'm going to, because I used the word that I was going to bring up, but I'm going to expand it to the entire defense, Clint. If I had to describe my frustrations, this is not the first word I would use to describe this defense. This defense is very good. This defense has a lot of great players. This defense is dominant at times. It's disruptive at times. It does a lot of great things. But if I had to take all my frustrations with this defense and sum it up into one word, it would be that we look slow on defense. And I can't remember the last time that I said that. And now sometimes slow on defense means that you don't know pre-snap where the ball is going to go, right? Christopher Smith was one of the quote-unquote fastest players we ever watched play on defense because he had a head start on every play because he knew where the ball was going to go and he could react. And he wasn't physically that fast. And then you have players that are just really, really fast, can run really fast, like Channing Tindall is just really fast. And so we don't seem to have either of those type of guys. Now, I know we have players that make plays, and I know there are guys like that have been good. But I'll just case in point. How do we get hurt tonight, Clint? What was the thing that the offense was doing that really hurt us? It was all this quick stuff. It was all this tempo. This tempo offense was killing us. We weren't lined up. We were out of position. We weren't ready. We didn't look like we had the play call in time. We didn't know what we were doing. So that's not fast in the first way. And then they hit all this quick stuff, this underneath stuff, this crossing, this shallow crossing stuff. And we just had linebackers and secondary and defensive line just chasing guys, and they just weren't fast enough. We got burned.
There are 2 drives in particular that stand out that were embarrassing for that point exactly. We overpowered. We collapsed the pocket. We made Zeno feel very, very uncomfortable in the pocket. He was constantly running. Some of it designed because they were trying to do quick little hitters, so sprint out, roll out stuff, and then those screens and all that. I get. But he did not feel comfortable in the pocket. We were doing a good job with that. We were missing Michael Williams. I understand that as well.
Yes, we were missing Javon Bullard. We were missing Michael. We get it. Yes. This is not the only game I'm talking about, by the way.
No. We are slow, and I think we are slow at linebacker because it's a domino effect, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think inside linebacker, Kirby has said to play in his defense, that star possession is really, really crucial, but also inside linebacker. Because if you're able to, I call it the eraser. Again, the eraser makes everything go. You line up and you get the guys set, you get the play in, and also you're able to scrape around and make tackles. That's your job. You say slow. I say, where are we not tackling, driving through? The only guy, I saw 2 guys be able to tackle with authority. Tyke is still playing lights out. That dude balls like, holy geez.
It's just all he does, Clint.
That's all he does. And I hate to keep hitting this. CJ Allen is thumping people at middle linebacker. If you gave me Sori and CJ, I'm happy. I think this defense changes.
I thought Smile played great tonight. I thought he played fine. I didn't see any problem with it.
No, he was fine. I really, really like that. But our defense was very piss poor on those things. So that was my first problem. My second problem is this. Oscar Delp, you ain't it, bro. Like, you read too many press clippings.
I mean, it's hard when you're sharing the field with Brock Bowers. Like, I get it. I understand.
No. We've had Charlie Warner share the field with incredible guys, and he did his job admirably. Daniel, admirably to where he is still NFL rostered, okay, for a playoff team. Okay,
sure.
Block, Oscar, block.
Keep next year. Oscar Delp's going to be really good. I really do believe that, but I don't think it's going to be this year. I think there's a lot of growing pains.
He is in developmental hell right now.
If there was tight end depth on this team, Oscar Delp might not play that much this year. Like,
I don't think he would.
Yeah, but there's no tight end depth. But Georgia long term is going to be the beneficiary of that because he's going to learn a lot and he's going to grow. And Hartley's going to just coach the crap out of him. And
I'm fine with it right now. That's why I say press clippings, because I know you're all talented, Oscar. Like, he's insanely talented. You saw it, you see it clear as day. But man, dude, just hold on to a block for more than 5 yards.
Yeah.
Anywhere else, Daniel, that you saw?
Can we talk about Dom Lovett and Arian Smith's hands real quick?
I recognize the first name. I don't recognize the second name.
I mean, I think Arian Smith was targeted twice and he scored 1 touchdown. So I'm not sure.
It wasn't a pass in which he scored. I think that was technically a run.
Well, according to Kirby Smart, who just doesn't want to admit that his team can't run the football. The drops are a thing.
Yeah.
For those 2 guys specifically. Arian Smith, I mean, obviously that touchdown, it just hurt. It's just a punch to the soul, especially after the first one where Carson threw it so badly. And I can't remember who that was. Was it Rara? Like, who was it on the first that was so wide open? It was Meeks.
It was Meeks. Yeah.
And it just would have been a touchdown for Jackson Meeks, and he's wide open, and if he just puts a little air under it.
And he learned the second time around.
Then he threw a perfect one.
Dropped in the bucket.
And Arian went into the home run trot.
Way early.
And then had to reach for it, and it hit him right in the weak spot.
Well, you hate it when it hits you right in your hands.
No, it does. I mean, if you're that guy, you're better off catching it with your neck or something. Georgia's got good weapons at wideout, and I loved what I saw out of a lot of them tonight. I mean, like, there was some guys had some games. Roseme had a game. I really like Ra Thomas. I really like what he brings to this team. There's there are weapons on this Georgia receiving core.
I'm going to harken back to last year. Remember when we thought the same exact thing about Ladd and his hands last year, Daniel?
He did have a stretch. Ladd absolutely had a stretch.
We're dealing with that. It's going to stop. It's going to stop this week. This week.
You mean when Ladd comes back and he starts catching all the balls? Like that's I hope so.
I can either confirm or not that it happens to coincide with that.
All right. This has been Locked On Bulldogs. That's Clint. I'm Daniel. Let us know in the comments your thoughts about the game. We will be back on Monday and all week with more Georgia football coverage, and we will see you guys then.
See ya.